Hello and welcome to another episode of Top Deck, and today we have on Jonny, who just got second place at the Stockton Regional in the UK, playing none other than Salamangreat. So a pretty interesting list, some cool ratios in here, but we'll get his full information and breakdown of why he decided to play each of these cards in these particular ratios, as long as they're of course different from the standard of what we've seen. And we'll get some more information about the matches and the event overall. How was the event overall?
Yeah, the event was really good. Really well run. Finished by like 5. It's the third regional done there, and they've done a pretty good job each time. So.
Oh, okay, that's pretty good. And why did you decide to play the Salamangreat deck for this event?
It's kind of what I've been playing for like the last month, and I feel pretty comfortable playing it. And I also think it's just it's probably like one of the strongest decks of the format, if not the strongest deck. And it's really nice because obviously it's like a relatively small engine, and you have a lot of space to just play a lot of tech cards and hand traps and stuff to combat the meta. Yeah,
definitely. So on that point, actually, looking at your list, you decided to play 3 Phantasme, 3 Ash and 3 Veiler, and the 2 Imp. So essentially like 8 real hand traps.
Yeah.
What made you... So I mean, typically we see Ash and Veiler being really key choices. What made you decide to put the impermanences in?
So I think pre-ban list I was playing pretty much an identical hand trap ratio, apart from instead of the 2 Imp I was playing 2 Ogre. But like after one Summon Sort got banned, Debug went to 1, like Striker got hit, because like obviously the main things you were hitting with Ogre before the ban list were like multi-roll and Striker. You were hitting like Debug, Summon Sort, so I felt like following the ban list, Ogre kind of only hit really specific decks like Pendulum, and I wasn't sure if I was expecting so much Striker, and I thought Impermanence was just sort of better generically in terms of a hand trap.
Okay. And I mean, I guess that turned out really well for you on the day then, because we can see we've got your matchups on screen, and didn't face any Striker, so...
Yeah, I think there was only like 1 or 2 Striker actually at the event. There was like really few. It was full of Salamangreat and Orcus.
Yeah. Alright, so let's look a bit more at your list, and we can talk about, I guess, the rounds a bit later. So obviously you mentioned the ban list has a pretty heavy impact on this deck, putting Debug to 1. But Dark Neostorm, of course, gave us Signet Mining. So why did you decide to play 2 Signet Mining, but also why did you go for the 2 Flame Buffalo as well?
So I honestly didn't know if I was going to be able to pick up Signet Mining for the event in time. So I was initially testing like a list with like 1 Debug, 3 Buffalo and no Mining. But then when I was testing that, like my Buffalo's like either really, really strong, or like you just draw 2 dead cards. And I kind of felt like the deck like that was lacking just that little bit of extra consistency. So I managed to like pick up 2 Mining for the event, and I thought, I think initially I was playing 3 Buffalo and I was playing an extra Spinny, so I dropped a Spinny and dropped a Buffalo to play the 2 Mining, because it's obviously guaranteed Gazelle. And I just thought it added that extra little bit of consistency. I'm not sure if I'd want to play 3 or not.
Really?
Because it does seem like you don't really want to open multiples of it. But...
Okay. Yeah, sure. Because I mean, the typical thing we do see from people is the decision to move to 3 Mining, 1 Debug, but then most people don't run the Buffalo.
Yeah, I actually noticed, I can't remember the guy that won the Spanish Nationals was playing at the same ratio as well. He was playing the 1 Debug, 2 Buffalo and 2 Mining.
Well, I guess you chose a national event winning ratio then.
I guess.
Sure, okay. So you mentioned why you've cut down the Spinny to 2. I mean, we've seen a few people cutting it down to 2 just for space anyway. Do you think it's acceptable that like you only really need access to 1, right, and then it's fine?
So this is like quite a big debate on the Salamangreat group, whether you should play 2 Spinny or 2 Foxy. But I just think 3 Foxy and 2 Spinny is correct, because like you want to see Gazelle as much as possible, but in some hands you're not going to see Gazelle. And like if you see Spinny as your only Salamangreat monster, you can't really do anything with it. Whereas if you like see Foxy, I think you have like a 55% chance of like excavating a circle or a Gazelle or a Spinny, and then that either gets you like straight to Gazelle or it'll get you to a Stalio, which will then get you to a Gazelle. So it kind of acts more like a pseudo starter. So I thought it made more sense just to play 3 of that.
No, it seems like a good set of logic to go back it up, really, to be honest. Sure. Alright, so for the rest of the deck, most of it is fairly standard in terms of ratios. You know, everyone runs 3 circle, most people run 1 will, and obviously the 1 sanctuary, 1 of each trap kind of thing. So I guess I wanted to pick up on you decided to play the 3 Solemn Strike, which is really good in certain matchups. Like, we know it's been really good in the Striker matchup and things, but then is sometimes less good in some of the other matchups. So why did you decide to bring this in?
So originally I wasn't playing it, but like I think it's really strong against like a load of matchups. Like it's really strong against Salamangreat. It's really strong against Striker. It's really strong against Pendulum. Like I played 1 Pendulum, and I think I like searched the rage for like his scales, and he set the scales and he was kind of waiting for me to rage. And I didn't rage him, and he just Pendulum summoned and I striked it, and he was like, oh, so that's why you didn't use the rage. But yeah, so it's really good. I think it's just like I wanted sometimes the first turn board doesn't quite feel strong enough if it's just like raw plus a hand trap, so it just sort of strengthens your first turn board a bit, and it's like an easy side out, I guess, if you're going second.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Okay, let's move on to the extra deck then. So most of it, again, fairly standard. There's not a lot of debate as to what you can actually fit into a Salamangreat extra deck. The one Ningirsu is pretty interesting. So presumably this is made for like you heater your opponent's Balinks or something, and then Ningirsu stuff away?
Yeah, Ningirsu's like pretty easy to make, to be honest. Like you can make it with like a Balinks and a Wolf, you can make it with heater, and like a Balinks. Yeah. Like it was kind of between that and Borrowload, because like I felt like I wanted something just to out problematic things. But like you don't have to use your battle phase for Ningirsu. I don't know. Yeah. I think there was a time in the tournament where I kind of felt like I would have preferred a Borrowload, but I kind of just went with Ningirsu because I felt like it was a little bit easier to make and a little bit less restrictive.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. The only unfortunate thing is just the arrows, right? Apart from that, it seems really good.
Yeah, that's a bit awkward. But then you can like if you don't use the heater, if you're using like a Wolf and like a Balinks, you can then just link it off into a heater and extend your plays from there. So
that's true. Yeah, it seems really good. Sure. And then going for the rank 4s, often we see people deciding like the debate between Dweller and Baguska. You've just gone for both. Did you find that they both held up their worth?
So I think I made like Baguska once and it was alright, but like I still lost that game. It was against Chen, like the one round I lost, round 6. Yeah. Like I kind of soft bricked, like the only 2 Salamangreat monsters I opened were Fowl and Jaguar, so I had to like make Balinks and Baguska pass, and then I like missided, so I was siding in anti-spells in order, like going first against the mirror, which is like look in retrospect not very good. But yeah, like it kind of helped a little bit, but it just wasn't enough in that scenario. But the Dweller was, I think I made it a couple of times. Like when I go second, my game plan's usually not to like OTK, obviously, because I'm not playing the Fusion of Fire. It's kind of just to pick apart my opponent's board and then end on like some disruption and a rank 4 if I can do it. And like Dweller's just kind of a blowout against a lot of the decks in the meta. Yeah,
sure. Well, again, as you say, because you've managed to fit both of these in, and it's because you've taken out the Fusion of Fire engine, essentially, right? That gives you that extra slot.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the reasons that it's just nice to have that extra space to have a little bit more flexibility in the extra.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's worth giving up that OTK for it, in general?
I actually don't think I don't think the OTK aspect of Fusion of Fire is like massively necessary. Like I think the main reason I'd want to play it, I don't think I'd ever main it, I made it. I dropped it from the main like a while ago, and I don't think I'd main it because I think you can usually like it seems kind of win more, and if you're able to sort of grab and resolve it, you can usually just get other cards to out-resource your opponent.
Yeah.
But like I think the one scenario that it is nice is, especially like with Super Poly, is just like siding going second against the mirror, because it is just like a massive blowout. Like I got Super Poly'd like a couple of times during the tournament, and it was like really big.
Yeah. Well, it didn't matter in the end though, right? Because apart from against Chen, you won all of your Salamangreat matches, so...
I did, yeah. But yeah. Like, I think just with Super Poly at 2, going forward, I might consider like throwing the Violet Chimera either in the side or the extra, and like throwing some Super Polys and maybe like one Fusion of Fire into the side, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we have heard a few people come on and say that Super Poly is kind of silly in the mirror match. Just as you say, you pull it and then it's a blowout. So Pankratops is fairly standard. Lancia obviously has great utility versus Thunder and Orcust. And then you've moved the 2 Ogres into the side deck. So did you feel like they still had some decent utility against the meta?
Yeah, I felt like, as I said, they're like good against less decks now, but the decks that they are good against, they are really good against.
Yeah.
So they were kind of the last minute throw-ins as well, because I was originally playing 2 Cosmic Cyclone to sort of complement the 3 Twin Twisters in the side, because I was scared of the Mine deck.
Okay,
but I was just like, I was like, oh, I mean, in reality, how many are there going to be there, and like, what's the likelihood of me playing like the Mine deck? And then if I do, what's the likelihood of me maybe opening like an extra Cosmic Cyclone? So I was like, okay, these Ogres probably have slightly better coverage than that, and I'm just going to hope that I just don't get unlucky and play against the Mine deck. And I don't think anyone was... There might be like one pure Mine Burn deck player, and then some people teching Mine into like Altergeist, but...
Okay.
Yeah, I thought the Ogres, like, as I said, against the Pendulum player, game 2, after I striked his Pendulum Summon game 1, and then game 2 I Ogred his Electrum and he passed. So.
Yep. It seems pretty strong in those times.
It was pretty good. Yeah, it was strong.
And then you've also got the 2 Kaiju. So presumably these are, well, they're intended for all the striker players if there are any left, and pretty good in Salamangreat matches. Was there anything else where you wanted these?
So I was like originally playing 3 of these before the ban list. I was playing 3 of these, and they were really, really good. And I was playing 2 Pankratops.
Yeah.
But like, I dropped it down to 2 because I wasn't sure how much striker there'd be. Also, it's like pre-ban list, it was really good against Orcas because you like Kaiju the redo, and then they could rank it up. But, sort of post-ban list, it doesn't really do that much because their game plan sort of just set double Fog Blade and then summon a Dingesu in your turn.
Yeah.
And yeah, like it's like alright against the mirror. It's like generally it's really good if you open it with a hand trap, because then you can, instead of like hitting the Gazelle, you can hit like the Stalio, and that means that they can't usually make 2 links. So then they usually have to like pass on 1 link, and then you can Kaiju it, and it turns off their like counter trap or.
Okay.
Yeah.
That seems really good.
Going forward, like I don't think it really came up, and I think like unless striker like becomes like super prevalent, like I'm not sure whether I'd play it going forward.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Do you know what you would play instead of it?
Probably like if I could squeeze a little bit more space into the side deck, like the Super Polys and the Fusion of Fire.
Yeah, just improve those mirror matches.
Yeah, because there was so much mirror. I think mirror's going to be like pretty big this format, to be fair.
Yeah, definitely. It's a great deck that's affordable, has good interactions with a lot of other decks, and keeps topping events. So I doubt people are going to start dropping it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So another interesting thing you've got on the side is the double anti-spell and Imperial Order. I don't think I've seen this in very many Salamangreat lists, to be honest.
Yeah, so I think it kind of picked up popularity.
Yeah.
Sort of like it was when strikers started to get really big, and then like I think Salamangreat players, they kind of dropped the artifacts and they kind of replaced it with this.
Yeah.
And I kind of kept it in there because it kind of, once again, if there was striker at the event, I could always side it in, and it's kind of like an auto win card.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's actually decent against like other stuff. Like it's decent against the mine deck, to be fair. Like I played my friend at locals with it, and like he was playing Guru, and it was like really really good against that. Because surprisingly, they need to resolve quite a lot of spells.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it comes up against quite a lot of random stuff.
No, it seems really good for those things. Plus, you get you have so much removal for anything that they set with when you have anti-spell up. So
yeah, you can just heat Leo stuff back into their deck after they set it, which is pretty good.
No, it seems really strong. Cool. Right, so that's the full list. Were there any sort of key moments within your matches that you haven't already mentioned that you think really drove you towards your victory, or maybe made things a bit more difficult for you?
Something that was just like, it might just be worth saying because it was quite funny. Like round 2 against the Evil Eye player. So the guy wins the die roll and says, "Oh, I'm going to go first," and then kind of just stares blankly at his hand for like 20 seconds. Yeah. And then just indicates that he's passing turn, like just like the hand gesture. And I go and I do my turn and I go battle phase, and then this guy's like, "Wait, why are you going battle phase? I thought you were going first." And I was like, no, you literally like looked at your hand and passed turn. He was like, "Oh, did I?" And he looked so shocked. So yeah,
not in control of his actions.
Pretty nice to lose the die roll, but then still get to go first in the next regard in the battle phase.
Yeah, that seems pretty good. I guess the evil eye of Celine just took over him at that moment.
Indeed. I don't really see very many evil eye cards. I think that game.
Oh, okay.
Because I think he kind of bricked game 2. He had like a Sanctum, but I just summoned a load of Salamangreats and boosted one of them and just beat over everything.
Yeah, I mean that does the job, right?
Yeah. And then most of the games were the deck just performed really well in general. Like there were very few dead hands. And if there were dead hands, I'd usually open some sort of disruption, like drawing, I'd be able to make a Balinx and set a rage and a strike or something, and then I'd usually be able to stay in the game. And then because the deck's relatively consistent, you've got quite a high chance of drawing something that gets you into your engine next time.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that seems really good. You just stall out until you win, basically, right?
Yeah. In the last round, actually, it was a weird grind. Essentially, he set 4 and passed. It was in the mirror. So obviously he bricked, and then he flipped an anti-spell. And I twinned some of his back row, but the one I left was a super poly. So then it turned into this really weird grind because I didn't have really any resistance, and he ended up cool buying my Jaguar. And it's really hard to play without a Jaguar. But yeah, he was notably annoyed because he kept on not drawing Salamangreat monsters, and I think he just kept on drawing back row.
Okay.
So yeah, I won that game with 100 life. It was pretty crazy.
So he just packed it all with way too many traps then, but
I don't know. He was playing a really weird list. I think his last top deck before I won was Mole, which is maybe is an advertisement not to play Mole in the deck. But...
You want it in grave, and you need your grave to be stacked. You don't want to draw it.
Yeah. The only other Salamangreat monster he saw before that was Spinny.
Oh, okay.
Which is in 6 turns.
Wow. Yeah, that's really not enough. Cool. Right, were there any changes that you would make to the list that you haven't already mentioned?
Something that I'd maybe change in the extra deck, which I saw, I think, a couple of the Salamangreat players there. I know Tim Cox was playing it. Was the new sort of link for the Mech Knight Crusadia.
Oh, Avromax. Yeah.
It seems pretty good. Seems pretty difficult to out. And if I'm playing, I'm not sure if I played Boral Sword again because that just didn't come up. In theory, it was there because I wasn't playing the Violet Chimera, and I wanted some sort of OTK potential, but yeah,
just don't need it.
I think either that or Ningirsu could potentially be cut for the Mech Knight, new Mech Knight dude, because he's pretty good. And then the main other change would probably just be playing Super Poly because it's pretty nuts. Yeah,
definitely. All right, sure. Are there any shout-outs you'd like to make?
Was that shout-outs?
Yeah.
So I guess the main 2 shout-outs are obviously firstly to Chen for beating me and winning the event, and then shout out also to my mate John, who went 0-2, dropped at the event, but then won locals upstairs and got nearly as good prize support as me, which was pretty weird. And then like the rest of the shout outs will go to just like people from York and Leeds, just in general.
Yeah, cool. Well, thanks very much for coming on and showing us your list and talking through all of the choices that you made behind it and how you think it'll evolve in the future. And hopefully we'll see you come back on Top Deck again.
Hopefully.
Thanks for watching this episode of Top Deck. If you have any comments or suggestions that you would like to make, leave them in the comment section down below. Check out the description for details of how you can get involved in this series. You can enter by voice interview, or instead you could just send all of your information over Facebook Messenger. Anything like that will be absolutely fine. If you want to see anything in particular from the upcoming series, then be sure to get in touch, and I'll see you guys in the next video.